Hey, you guys, I'm so glad that you're here with us today. I have two really special people. They've been in my life for, a few hot minutes, so I apologize to them. Sorry, guys, you're stuck with me. Hey, so let me introduce my guys here to you. I've got two of our media partners, and they're also storytellers, and they're also in the media themselves, have their own platform. So let me do a quick intro here. I have Christopher Rausch, who's an author, speaker, workshop facilitator. He is a retreat leader, and most importantly, he is the unstoppable, no excuse coaches. word. And you can catch him on his raw and unscripted show on YouTube. So glad he's here. And then Teresa Velardi, who's a radio show host, Conversations That Make a Difference on Dream Vision 7 Radio. She's also the founder of Authentic Endeavors Publishing Company and a multi-best-selling author herself, speaker, potter, and transformational life coach. I need a drink after that.
Great job. Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're awesome.
All right, you guys. So today we're taking a little bit of a different spin here. So I really want to understand, and I have a couple of you in my hip pocket because you're media partners for the Win the Wellness W.A.R book that's coming out, the All Things Wellness series. So you have obviously been storytellers yourselves. You guys have journaled. That's the type of peeps that you are. You've done that for a long time, writing your own books, all of that. And you've spoken in front of crowds. So then tell me how you got, Christopher, let's start with you, how you decided to go behind the microphone and ask and talk to others about their stories. How did that happen?
That happened just by way of chance. It was something that I've always wanted to do as a little kid. I thought one day I want to become a radio DJ. So I wanted to get behind the microphone and be able to talk about music and talk about life, spin some tunes and just, keep people entertained and keep them thinking. And so when this whole thing about podcasting came out, my first endeavor into podcasting was actually a live radio show called the Kick-Ass Radio Show, which I did for 3 years. And for me, it was just another extension of being able to coach people, whether I'm coaching person a one-on-one or I'm speaking to a crowd. Doing a podcast or doing a radio show, a live show where I could take callers was my immediate way of being able to know that I can impact people on the fly. And consecutively, I could build on that confidence that they're learning from each episode and be able to help change the world a little bit better. Plus, I could have the gift of gab.
Well, hey, that's...
Yeah, I could talk a lot.
Yeah, well, so was there a time in your career where you just went, oh my God, there's so many storytellers out there. Like, I don't have to, remember the day where we had to search to find people on our shows where we're like, do you want to come talk? And then later it was like, are you going to pay me $3,000? Like, no. And so did you realize pretty much it was going to be just limitless to have people to talk to on your show?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, because my whole show is based on the fact of its motivation, inspiration. It's about people who have walked that hero's journey, who have been to the bottom depths of their souls, had that dark night of the soul, and somehow realized their true potential and be able to come out of that situation. So those are the people that I talk to every week. And there's no shortage of those people. I mean, we've all seen them in our lives, in our world. We just have to look for them. Sadly, the news doesn't propagate that kind of stuff and all the amazing people that there are out in the world. So we find them and we put them on our show, and we are able to talk about that. So the people that are watching that can't go, wow, nobody has ever had it like me. And then you watch somebody and you're like, wow, they had it 10 times worse than me. And look at what they're doing now. I mean, I can tell you my friend Unstoppable Tracy, she has no arms, no legs. She has these little limbs. She has a little chicken club that she talks about. And she is one of the most amazing, dynamic, no excuses people that I could ever talk to. So yeah, there's no shortage of those people.
Awesome. Yeah, I saw your show that time that she was talking about moving all of her furniture out of her own apartment, and it wasn't even on one level. Seriously.
You remember.
I know. I was like, what in the hell? Yeah. Teresa, what about you? When did you get behind the mic? I know as a publisher, writer, all of that stuff, you've been doing this for a really long time. So how did that evolve for you?
So believe it or not, I used to do a conference call every Tuesday morning called Transformational Tuesdays. And I did that for a couple of years. And then somebody said, oh, you should do video calls. And so I started doing the video calls. And then I thought that Transformational Tuesdays has run its course. And what I did was that rather than having guests all the time, I used to pick a topic and I would give my take on the topic. Mm-hmm. And then I would have people, call in or unmute and be part of the conversation. I would get a bunch of various perspectives on the whole thing. And then I would blog it and put it on my Facebook page, on my website. And then I thought it ran its course. And for a while, I wasn't doing anything. And then a couple of people said to me, when are you going to start another radio show? When are you going to start this other again? So I decided to do a podcast. And I had published 2 books called Conversations That Make a Difference with, and actually I collaborated with another publisher before I had my publishing company, and the founder of Wake Up Women, Karen Mayfield, and we did a couple of books called Conversations That Make a Difference. And that was my title. I loaned the title to them and I said, you know what I'm going to call it? Conversations That Make a Difference. And I've had people that talk about everything from, I don't know, some soup to nuts.
Yeah.
Today,
Exactly.
yeah. I mean, and I have a woman who's coming on my show today, actually, and this is May 16th. So her name is Michelle Patterson, and she took over the California Women's Conference from Maria Shriver. And about 5 years ago, she was given 90 days to live. And so we're going to talk to her today. I get a chance to talk to people about conversations that I never thought I would be having.
I know.
You know, it's awesome.
I think the buzzword, there's always buzzwords in our industry, especially health coaching. It's like there's, peel back the onion, whatever the mantra is of the week. But storytelling really is, I think it really kicked up, honestly, after COVID, because we all started podcasts. Things just shape shifted so much and people just needed to be heard. And I know specifically for myself, I have changed. I know you have too, Christopher. I've changed my whole entire business. Like I hardly coach anymore at all because I'm obsessed with sharing stories and creating a platform where others can speak. And I think what caught me the most off guard is to see the connection of others where they actually say, and even Markus Wettstein, who's my co-author, introvert, endocrinologist, this is not his gig at all, and watch him grow. And the most profound things that he said is he goes, writing my own story and then reading others made me realize I wasn't alone and that I'm not like that special in the sense of the only one with anxiety, the only one who doesn't sleep, and that, that stuff. So what about the word storytelling, the hub of that? I mean, I just think I hope it lasts forever, but we've been listening to stories since we were in the womb, right? Yep. It's nothing new, but it stops. It stops at like age 9, unless you're into Harlequin romances or like Harry Potter through the teens. And now it's kicked back up. What do you think about that, Christopher? Does it fire you up to just be a part? I know you wrote a story for this book and you're writing your own book and telling a story. And what are your thoughts about the word storyteller right now?
I think storytelling is is an art form. And I think it's something that people need to get more in touch with, because as you tell a story, you're creating an image, you're creating a journey for that person to experience sights, smells, sounds, textures and things like that. You're taking somebody in an immersive experience of your life or of some story you've created. And I think there's a definite art in that. I think in that process, you connect with that person on a whole deeper level than you can, versus speaking to somebody. So I think taking somebody on a story, how do we remember? We remember things in pictures, right? And so when you take somebody on a story, they're visualizing that journey so that when they talk back to you, they can sit there and say, oh man, I could see you living in that station wagon. Oh my God, I couldn't even imagine living in a motel with drugs and prostitutes and the dumpsters smelling, just overflowing. Oh my God, I felt like I was there, right? You take somebody on a storytelling adventure, you connect with them. And when you connect with somebody, when they know, like, and trust you, then you have the ability to offer them suggestions on how they can tweak their perspective in order to become more successful in their life. And that's what I love to do, is get people to tweak their perspective and realize that they're a lot more powerful than they truly could ever see their themselves being, with that myopic view of how life is supposed to be.
Yeah, you guys remember back in the day when we were learning our elevator speeches before we would go up in front of the board of directors or something. It was like, hello, my name is Peggy. Thank you for coming, everybody. And now everything is, even TED Talks is like, you just hit the ground running and start with a story. It's like, well, I rode the bus today. Somebody was just pushing me. It's all about that storytelling. And Teresa, that's your whole life of these stories. You got children's books, you have adult books, you have fiction, nonfiction, Christian compilations. What have you seen that word storyteller do in the last, 5 years-ish or something, or even year?
Yeah, storytelling for me, if I could put a word next to storytelling, that would tell you how I have seen these stories change people, I would say storytelling is very healing.
Yeah,
it's healing for the person who writes the story, and it's healing for the person who reads the story. I used to say, before I started writing, and I journaled for a long time. I didn't share my writing with anybody. But when somebody asked me to tell my story in a compilation book, I was like, oh my God, I went through all these things. Oh my God, somebody I know is going to read it. They're going to know I'm talking about them, and yeah, exactly.
They're going to find out the real me.
Yeah, they'll find out my secret. My
I'm human. Oh my
secret.
God.
What's wrong with me? Yeah. Yeah.
But you know what? It was, not only was it cathartic, not only did it like literally take a weight off my shoulders and off of my heart, then that it was when I started getting compliments and feedback from other people, things like, oh, you're so brave, and I went through something similar, and I can't believe you got through that. Let me tell you something, and I say this all the time. If you have been through an experience, Christopher, you are an example of this. We all have our own example, and some are deeper and darker than others. But if you have gone through something and you have found your way out, and you have a solution, you have found a solution for yourself, I feel it's our obligation and our duty to share it so that other people can come through whatever it is they're going through. You hear people talk about the word hand up and hand out and whatever. People need handouts today. There's a lot of people looking for, with the economy and everything the way that it is and what's going on in the world, everybody's got their hand out for something. Instead of having your hand out, reach out to someone and give them a hand up and help them through their problem simply by telling your story. It's life-changing, not only for you, but for the person who reads it, no matter what it is.
Back in the day, we used to have to pay a lot of money to go to counselors, and I'm not damning them whatsoever. They have an education they're needed, and I absolutely think we're all on the same team, and you have to go to experts when you have to go to experts. But when you really look back at sitting around the table in the 70s or 80s, and you have grandma and grandpa and you're talking, you have some iced coffee and you're sitting back and you're talking. What was your day? How did you do? What do you want to be when you grow up? Why are you sad? Why have you been crying for 2 days? That went away. Ish. And if we just really thought about, Christopher and I did some DMing here a couple of weeks ago on, when you write, you really, my opinion, depending on if it's, if it's content, a content creator, or you're doing something for a white paper, it's a different genre. But if you're doing something where you really want to share what you're going through and to help somebody else, you have to think about it as a coffee chat, right? And Christopher and I were having a conversation about the word that. Well, you seem to put more that's in there, Peggy, where other people tend to take it out. And I said, I just read it, edit your stuff like it is a conversation. And would I where do I breathe? Where would I do that? And I think, Teresa, what you just said, the hand up, lifting people up, is just to ask them about a story. What'd you do when you're 15? Like, what do you, Christopher, let's think about the last, I don't know, I don't even want to put time frame on it. What is the most profound story? Did it have to be something catastrophic, or is there something that you can think of on your show of a story somebody has shared with you that was really like, whoa, like impactful to you, or that you reshared? I mean, I know you just talked about your gal, I get it, but it doesn't have to be this big mic drop type of story either, right?
No, it's an amazing show. Actually, we just filmed another show for the Unfiltered Experience, my other show that we do on Fridays. We just did we're going to do a brand new season, and we just interviewed this gentleman. His name is Jimmy Dennis, and we were introduced to him by actually, Teresa, Patricia Geigig. We were introduced to Jimmy through Patricia, and Jimmy was on death row for 25 years for a murder he did not commit. And so we were introduced to Jimmy after he got released out of prison, and we had him on the Unfiltered Experience. And it was about normally we only go for an hour. I think we went for an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes. And the resiliency of what this guy did to survive, to be incarcerated on death row for a murder he could not have committed. The person that apparently committed the murder was like 5'6", and he's like 6'1". The guy was supposed to be 160 pounds. Jimmy's like 210. It was just a black dude in Philadelphia, and he was 25 years on death row, and he got out. And I'm like, how did you get through that? And he's like, music. He goes, I had a daily playlist that I played in my head. And he would talk about every song and what that song meant to him. And man, I walked away from that show thinking, I'd go fucking crazy if I was in jail for a murder that I did not commit. And fortunately, there was people on the other side that go, there's a lot of people that have been wrongly convicted, and they advocate for these prisoners. They find these prisoners, they look at their cases, and he actually just met them for the first time. He's been out of prison now for a couple of years, I think about 3 or 4 years, but he just actually finally met Tracy and I can't remember the dude's name, the people that helped get him out of prison, just met in person a couple of weeks ago. And so these people just advocated on his behalf. And so that moved me to no end to know that. And I've had so many other experiences like that.
Oh, I know you have. It just, but you bring up, I mean, obviously this is unrehearsed, and you bring up something that I just thought about, why it's so important to tell stories, because just with you telling a story and somebody, because we go like this, right? Teresa and I've seen this so much, where somebody might cathartically say, I want to write a story. I've always wanted to write a book. I'm going to do this for, me. And I always say, well, remember, there's someone sitting on the couch that might have just been gonna go like this or like this, and you're stopping them from that. So I want you to think as a writer, but I want you to think as a reader or listener. But then there's a third level that you just reminded me of, is that somebody's listening who's going, I have a 501c3. Oh my gosh, I have extra food to give away. Oh, I want to give this a guy a call because it happened with me. It's all those support groups and people who want to be, virtual assistants or attorneys who want to pro bono and those things. That's a whole nother level I've seen this year of like that spider web just keeps entangling and helping each other if we're doing it for the right reasons, right? And so what I've learned away from writing this book is to do a better job in my comment sections of anyone I interview, that says, not only just put your contact information in there, but what do you like? What do you want to do? Do you want to volunteer? And then, do you need help? I hate marketing. I hate cold calling. Bring it on. You love it. Let's talk. Right? That's something that I just thought of with this guy that was incarcerated, is there's that other, there's that other level. Teresa, what sticks out with you with any particular story that caught you off guard, or was like, mic drop this, whatever, last several months?
So I interviewed a woman, her name is Leanne Rhodes. And she was working for a company that I guess it was a direct sales company. She was making a ton of cash. And all of a sudden I hear her talking about leaving her organization and developing it's like a not-for-profit organization that helps people, gives people a hand up in bad times, so she has put together an organization that people donate gently used goods to, or new goods, and she makes sure that they get to the people who need them. Get to the people who need them. So I thought to myself, this is one brave woman. But you know what? I think I got to bring God into the conversation here, because this was a little nudge from God, just like my book series was. And like we've all had that little, whisper to our heart to do something different. That's how I got into publishing and writing and, sharing my story, because God said, you need to show up. You need to start telling your story, so she decided that she was going to do this, and she was going to be of service to the community. And every time I look at what she's doing, there's money coming in to fund this right and left, check after check after check after check, sponsorship after sponsorship. And I've had her on my show a couple of times, and she's the sweetest person. But for somebody to just leave what they're doing, and earning a good living, having a family, and a miracle child, no less, a child that was given, had cancer when, they found out 2 weeks after he was born, and somebody somewhere told a story about how they used a particular protocol that could help this child. She followed the child, and 81 days later, the child had no cancer, no evidence of cancer in his body. So, what we do, it's like mind blowing. Exactly, Christopher. And what we do as people who are, behind the microphone, so to speak, as we bring those voices to the table so that other people can hear them. And I just think whenever I'm with a guest, and I know that you guys feel the same way too, it's just like, okay, it's just you and me. Let's have this conversation. Yeah. And then the next thing you know, everybody's saying how they, how they've been affected by it. And it's all good. Never heard anybody come back to me with something bad.
Right, right. I think the main thing to think about too is that you don't have to just do it because you're doing it without even needing to hear from somebody, wondering how many lives it's affected. Because period, exclamation point, it just has. I mean, it has.
Mhm.
And I feel responsible to allow people to tell their story because that's what stops fake news. Don't tell anybody else's shit.
Yes.
You don't want
Mhm.
fake news, then you don't sit back till somebody dies. You don't sit back, you tell your own story or somebody else will. And that's what happens. I have no right to tell Teresa's story while I'm being interviewed by Christopher. And it's our responsibility in the media to
Yep.
get you guys to understand we all have stories, right? Even if you have, I have a gal in this book who had amazing upbringing, wonderful stories, great holidays. And I said, I want you in this book. She goes, I have nothing to say. I'm as vanilla as they come. And I said, then tell the story about being vanilla.
Right.
Tell the story that crap went okay, because boy, there's some people out there that want to go, wow, this particular life path you're on, this eighth life of yours is right. But I mean, I feel
Right.
responsible for that now to create. I want to be as much of a vessel in as many different platforms as possible to tell as many stories. And I think anybody that's listening or watching this, I want to give you the permission, because that's sometimes what we're looking for, to
Sometimes.
contact anyone. I don't care if it's ABC TV in your town. I don't care if it's somebody that's doing a podcast that seems like a big deal. I don't care if you call Tony Robbins. Keep barking and barking, because somebody will help you share your story, right, you guys? And I don't want anybody to think they can't reach out, especially, I'll even say to our media partners, I don't think there's one of the media partners, the 10 that we have, that would say, not really for me, because that's not who I want to
No.
work with anyway. What do you think, Christopher, with, our responsibility as media to share it and not create fake news?
Oh, how much time
Don't
do you
get me
have?
started.
How much time do you? Well, you just wound up the engine doing wing, ding, 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 ding. Yeah, to your point, honestly, thinking about that, guys, is for me, I don't watch the news and I don't follow politics. I haven't done that in over 10 years. I've been a very, very happy person. The world has gone through 17 bird flus and I've been okay. We've had the swine flu. We've had all these different things that you hear about in the news. Everybody's like, oh my God, the monkeypox. I just heard the other day that the monkeypox thing is somehow it's okay. So I've lived through life fat and happy, not worrying about stuff. And then COVID comes along, right? And I leave corporate America and all of a sudden I start hearing the news and I start hearing, okay, the vaccination's good, the vaccination's bad, this, that, the other thing. And I start hearing all this difference of opinions, and me being kind of a communications nerd, I'm sitting there watching and people aren't having conversations. People are getting in their little group thinks and they're going, okay, we all believe in this and those people are bad, whatever position you're in. For me, I continue going on fat and happy. Every time I go out in the world, I see people of all walks of life and everybody's beautiful. I'm in Disneyland. I'm like, half of us are Trump supporters, half of us are not Trump supporters, half of us are, and we're all fucking getting along. How beautiful is that? I don't give a fuck what the news says, right? And so,
And it's even about diets, right? I mean, you could take it such a dumb topic and bring it down, and you could just damn keto, but why not ask the people who, let's talk about those of you that it worked. Let's talk about those of you who it didn't. It's all perspective. It's
right.
all perspective and it's all personal experience. And I honestly believe that I don't really think there's that many things that are right or wrong. There's so much gray in the middle that we need
Perspective. It's
to
all
celebrate.
perspective.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
Teresa, what do you feel is your obligation as a person who's now sitting behind the mic? You're in front and behind the mic. And what do you feel like you're going to do maybe in this next year to try to elevate and get more stories out there? What's your mission with that?
Oh, hey, listen, we have something going on that people can participate in if they've never written anything. I call it dipping your toe into the lake of writing. And I have a series that was a nudge, and it's called the Daily Gift Book Series. And we did the first one called the Daily Gift of Gratitude. I actually have a copy here. So right there, Daily Gift of Gratitude.
Which everybody can get on Amazon. Yep.
Mm-hmm. This is 100 people contributed to this book. We're looking for even more than that for the next one, which is called A Daily Gift of Hope. And especially coming out of this crazy time that Christopher just alluded to, all the crazy things that people do and say to one another, because of their being affected by the media. If you just turn off the TV and go find people like Christopher, like Peggy, myself, and the other media partners that are part of this. You'll hear stories that can change your life, stories that will actually give you hope help you to find a gratitude practice, help you to be more kind to other people. And just as you know, as you said, you know, you're in a community, in a public space, and you don't know who believes in what or who believes in whatever. I mean, just you go about your day and you have your, you know, you have your group, you have your circle of friends and whatnot, and you support one another through whatever it is that there is. But talk about it, tell about it. I have hope because this happened when I was feeling like my world was ending. This happened. I mean, Michelle Patterson, who I talked about a little while ago, she was given an award called the Beacon of Hope Award because of her what she's going through right now. And she was given literally 90 days to live. And so she got the Beacon of Hope Award. She's writing the foreword for A Daily Gift of Hope. And the cover is of the Montauk Lighthouse. If anybody knows me, they know I'm from Long Island. I chose the cover for this book. It was a beach I used to go to all the time. A friend of mine took the photo, and the Montauk Lighthouse is something that people come from all over the place. They drive to Montauk, the end of Long Island, and they see it. Well, hope is something that we all need today. The world is crazy. You know,
And I think
you look
what we
outside your
should
front
think
door.
about is not everybody is a social media guru or even likes it or even wants to be on there. And it's like, you can do a lot of stuff behind the scenes. You know, you can still go back to email. You can still go back to the post office if you'd like to reach out to people. You can use a different name. You can use different names in the body of your stuff. You know, there's no judgment to get out there. I have some people that are going to start blogging for me who are repurposing things just based. I had one person today just based off their amazing Facebook posts that they do, where I reached out to them and said, we need to cut and paste that. And just Christopher and I have talked about it. I talked to Andy Vargo about it. You can repurpose all the wonderful things that you've said and the views that you've had. You don't have to be a writer. You don't have to be perfect at English. And today there's so many platforms. If you're afraid of social media or you're afraid of interviews, things like this, come in from behind the back door and let us speak for you. Give us the megaphone to shine on your story. And sometimes, you guys, you're not ready to tell it yet, but you never know if in 3 years you will be. So at least that's your baseline, right, Christopher, to go back to be
100%.
able to just, all right, you guys, I want you to tie, we're going to tie this up for this chat one with my media peeps, their perspective. And Christopher, I want you to tell me what you're going to do this year as a media partner to elevate something that you haven't done before. What commitment can you give me?
Wow. What commitment can I give you? I'll give you the commitment that I'm going to continue to elevate people to think more in a unified and respectful manner, to have conversations that are uncomfortable in order to see the differences, but also more importantly, find the solutions without the need for government intervention. So my pledge is to continue to unite people and bring them together to have conversations so that we can be part of the solution, not part of the problem. And I vow to do that until the day I die.
We can do that together. Teresa, what about you? What are you going to commit to me this year that you're going to elevate your media game?
I am going to continue to bring authors who have written crazy stories, crazy good stories about their lives and how it has been made different. And Christopher, you floored me. I'm still my head is still in what you just said.
It's so good.
What I say.
So good.
I love that commitment to death do we part.
Yeah, I want to continue to shine the light on people who are making a difference in their own lives and in turn making a difference in the lives of others, because that's how it happens. You can't prevent it. That's how it happens.
You guys heard it
more
here.
Books, more stories.
Yep. Let's get the stories out there, you guys. If you need to reach any of us, Christopher, where can people contact you?
The easiest place is to go to noexcusescoach.com, noexcusescoach.com. All my social media is there. My phone number's there. Get a hold of me. I would love to talk to people.
Mic drop. Perfect. Teresa, how can people reach out to you?
Velardi.com, dailygiftbookseries.com, or Authentic Endeavors Publishing. And you can always find me on Facebook and wherever else.
Welcome to 2023. We can find you will be found somehow. Alexa can find you.
There is no hiding.
All right, you guys.
I did all my stupid stuff before video cameras were out.
Oh my God. Thank God, Lord Jesus. Okay. All right, you guys. Thanks for chatting with me today, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, Peg. Bye.